Hello BookTube. I mentioned in my last video that I wanted to make another video today talking about some projects I've been thinking about doing. So if you're subscribed to Barter Hordes, during Robert's Friday reads, he will sometimes mention a backlist reading project he's doing and also a movie watching project of the 100 films listed on AFI. And that got me thinking about wanting to do something similar myself. So I have some viewing and reading projects that I want to attempt. So as far as watching film and television, I really want to try to clear out a lot of my Netflix queue. It is insane how many movies and mostly television shows I have in there, and I really need to take them out. I've been slowly working my way through the Marvel Netflix series. I've watched the first 2 seasons of Daredevil, the first seasons of Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and I just finished the Defenders this past weekend. And I was tempted to go ahead and start on the first season of The Punisher, but I think I'm going to hold off a bit and watch a few other things. So right now I'm watching the nature documentary series Our Planet, narrated by David Attenborough, and quite liking it. Can't say the same for some of the Netflix Marvel series. I have some serious issues about them, but I think I'll do a video wrap-up of them when I finally finish. So as far as reading goes, I have 3 projects I know I want to try, and probably a 4th. So the one that I've put the most work in is what I'm calling American 20, where I select 20 writers and a novel from each writer that I'm not familiar with. Now, admittedly, I am kind of not being completely new to these writers. One of them I've read a poetry collection by, and 3 of the others I've read their art of books. So yeah, so I'm kind of familiar with them, but not as a novel writer. And I do sort of want to, since I've read their How to Write book or essay, I kind of want to check and see, okay, how do they write a novel? So that's one thing. So I've got the 20, and I think I'll probably start this sometime in May, because right now my book budget has pretty much been exhausted, so I need to no more book buying until May. And then I'll either try library, either physically picking books up from the library or getting ebooks, or obviously buying them, since I do want to sort of recollect my old literature collection. Because right now, I mean, obviously it's rather paltry. Not as bad as the poetry collection, but compared to what it was, it is quite paltry, since, excepting for this bookcase here, or these 2, pretty much everything else is science fiction and fantasy. So that's one project, American 20, which, I mean, obviously once I go through these books, I can always add more to them. The next project is Around the World in 80 Books. Originally it was going to be 80 novels, but I may end up having to short fiction or short story collections, the occasional nonfiction piece, and certainly a poetry collection or even a long poem, depending. And so I've been wanting to do a project similar to this for quite a few years. When I was actively doing a blog, um, it was one of the projects I was thinking of doing shortly before I stopped writing it. And also, I want to say about the same time, maybe a little later, and this is about 2 years ago, Russell of Ink and Paper blog had a YouTube book group where he would select a book over the course of 7 months from each continent and discuss it. So, yeah, I kind of becoming interested again, and I've been thinking about it a lot recently. So I think I'm going to try it. Now, I have about 10 of the books, but I think they're going to be subject to change because much like the American 20, which, I mean, obviously I'm not going to include, excuse me, an American book in the Around the World in 80 books because, there's like working on 20 of them in another project. I wanted the books, by authors new to me. And right now there's three that I'm kind of breaking that on. I had Marlon James's Brief History of Seven Killings, which I have tried before, and I do want to give it another go. And obviously I have read Black Leopard, Red Wolf, so I'm not entirely sure if he would be appropriate, that I should probably replace him with another writer. Also, Carlos Fuentes, I think I've tried. I don't know if I ever actually finished it, but I tried The Old Gringo. So, again, maybe look into a replacement. And I think for Britain, I was going to go with Ali Smith's Autumn. But again, I have tried it before, and I don't know if it really should count, and maybe look for someone else in that one, there too. But I want to try, I know there might be some issues. Obviously, like I've read Margaret Atwood, Nadine Gordimer, Naguib Mahfouz, so I'm trying to find other writers there too. So anyway, but that is also part of the fun and the challenges, looking and trying to find writers new to me. So, which challenge, but also hopefully a fun one. So that's the second reading challenge I want to do. And then the third is a revisit. Because I've been thinking a lot lately, probably I'm on a huge nostalgia kick or something, but thinking back on what I read in high school and in college and wanting to revisit them to see what I make of them now. So books like Housekeeping by Marilyn Robinson, The Accidental Tourist by Ann Tyler, The Adventures of Cavalier and Clay, As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner, Mysterious Skin by Scott Heim, The Rubber Bride by Margaret Atwood. I'm right now blanking on the book by Barbara Gowdy, and numerous others that I'm kind of looking forward to. And then also Midak Ali by Naguib Mahfouz, The House Gun by Nadine Gordimer, so on and so forth. So I don't know exactly how many books in that there I'm going to go for. So, yeah, I'm thinking maybe 10 to 20. And then the final um, project I'm wanting to work on is a historical fiction challenge, which again comes out of my old blog. I got into a bit of a debate with a commenter, and I commented on his blog that I really didn't particularly care for nonfiction, I mean, historical fiction. That if I wanted to read history, well, yeah. And so I was rather dismissive of historical fiction. And so I'm like, well, maybe I should try it out, see what I make of it. So I made a list of, I want to say it was 20, although I might have riddled it down to 10 and then started trying some. But I never quite made it that far. But I do want to give it another go and maybe even revisit some of the books I had on the original list. So so I'm thinking I'm excited about these challenges and projects. I'm not going to do them obviously one at a time or consecutively. It will be here and there. I don't read multiple books at once. I read one book at a time, so I will be sort of spreading them out. So, say starting in May, I will maybe pick out a history book or science fiction or fantasy, assuming I don't give them a break. I expect a rant on Friday if I don't calm down before then. And then, or poetry or something. And then also have one here or there. It won't be like once a week or, yeah, I mean, it'll be random. And then I'll mention it at the time what project it's a part of. So, yeah. So I'm kind of excited about it. And obviously, I mean, I've already picked out the American 20 and the revisiting project is obviously from my own memory and nostalgia. But if you have any recommendations for international, for around the world in 80 books, or historical fiction I should check out, do let me know in the comments below, and I will try to remember to credit you when I do the books and the weekly reads when I get to them. So anyway, so I think I've rambled long enough, so I will sign off for now and have a great evening and stay safe. Thank you, BookTube.